Hey guys, it's Jessica. Welcome to my channel. Today I have a book haul for you. It's going to be probably my last one before the end of the year. My next one will probably be the books that I got for Christmas presents. So this is the last one for this year, and I will tell you that it's not been the greatest month. I am sick, as I'm sure you can hear a little bit right now. I was kind of trying to wait to see if my voice got better so that I could film this without that, but that has not happened. So we are going to make it work. And I did a little bit of retail therapy. I hit some library sales. I actually managed to make it to my library for their sale day. My library, the Friends of the Library, they have a shop in the basement of the library, but it's only open usually on like Thursday mornings when no one who has a job can go, but it was open on a Saturday. So I was able to go to that, and that was really fun. Also did some used bookstore shopping, went to Half Price Books, all kinds of stuff like that to get some used books. Some of these are books I've read, some of them are books I want to read. And so without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. And I'm just gonna start with this stack that I have right here. So the first book that I have is Once Upon a River by Diane Setterfield. So Diane Setterfield also wrote The 13th Tale, which is a book that I'm reading this month and I am really enjoying. It's actually a reread. And I'm still enjoying it just as much the second time. And I don't think that I have actually read her other book. I don't think she doesn't publish a lot of stuff. It seems like about 6 years in between books is about how long she takes. Haven't read this one. It says, 3 girls missing, one is returned, a story begins. On a dark midwinter's night in an ancient inn on the River Thames, an extraordinary event takes place. The regulars are telling stories to while away the dark hours, when the door bursts open on a wounded stranger. In his arms is the body of a small child. So the mystery of this book is the mystery of where this child came from, who left her there. And then it's about myth and magic. I'm just getting this from the inside of the book. And it's pretty long. And she has an amazing author photo, which I love. And I'm looking forward to reading this one soon. And I also really like this cover. So I was excited to pick this one up. And then another one that I have not read is going to be The Magician's Daughter by H.G. Perry. So The Magician's Daughter is a story of a young woman caught between two worlds in a spellbinding tale of miracles, magic, and an island that might have been. I don't know very much about this book, but I just read The Scholar and the Last Fairy Door, which is the new book by this author. And so when I saw this one at Half Price Books, I thought I really want to pick this up and see, if this is a consistent 5-star writer for me, because I really, really loved The Scholar and the Last Fairy Door. So if you've read this one, I would love for you to tell me what you thought of it. It also has a blurb on the front from Alex E. Harrow, who is one of my favorite writers and who usually recommends books that I really enjoy. So The Most Rare and Precious Thing, a brand new classic, both wholly original and wonderfully nostalgic. And I also love this cover, so this looks like it's going to be a good one. And then we have, this is actually a book that I have read, so I'm going to give a recommendation for it. I like to own all of the books that I have rated 5 or sometimes 4 stars, just depending. And the one I have here is Light from Uncommon Stars by Rika Aoki. Let me see if I can get that one so you can see it. It's kind of dark. So this is I would say that it's kind of a sci-fantasy story. It's the story of a young violin prodigy who gets the chance to become famous from a lady who is a violin teacher who, it seems, might have sold her soul to achieve the level of success that she has. And there's a lot more to it than that. There's also kind of a funny sci-fi element to it, as you can see from the cover. It is something that I really loved, I think particularly because I am a musician. I have a master's degree in music, and this book is so much about the classical music world, and it is so accurate in what it is saying. When it talks about classical music, you can tell that the author actually knows what she's talking about. So often, talk of music in books and in movies and on television is just like made up nonsense, and it doesn't make any sense, but this book was perfect for that. I just really, really enjoyed it, and I don't feel like it gets nearly as much respect as I think it should. It came out a couple of years ago, and I would highly recommend this one. And then I have one that I have heard a lot about, and I really want to get into this series. I was in the young adult section, which I'm not usually at Half Price Books, and I saw a copy of Truly Devious by Mari Johnson. I know that this is a mystery series. It's set at Ellingham Academy, a famous private school in Vermont. Our main character is true crime aficionado Stevie Bell, who is set to begin her first year at the academy, and she has a plan. She will solve the mystery of what happened to the wife and daughter of the founder of the school. And that's all I really need to know about it. I know that there are a lot of books in this series now. I know that Mari Johnson is an author that a lot of people enjoy and recommend, even if you are not necessarily a huge fan of young adult books, which I am not always. It just kind of depends. So I was excited to see this one, and I'm excited to read it. And then we also have another book that I have read, and that is going to be Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. Get a lot of shiny light on that one, I think. All right, so I have to tell you all that I'm not really a Cassandra Clare fan. I have read her young adult series, and I thought that I didn't really care for the one that starts with City of Bones. The steampunky one, I read, I think, all of those, and I did enjoy them, but they weren't my favorite series of all time. But I did read this one at Christmas time last year, and I gave it 5 stars, and I really loved it. This is her adult fantasy debut. A lot of people were worried that it was, I think, copying from, I think, the V.E. Schwab series. And there are some things that it does have in common with that series, but it's also very different if you've read them both. So I'm not sure I really see that. And the next book in the series is coming out this spring sometime, because I already put a hold on it at the library. So I was looking for a hardback copy of this, and I was trying to decide between this one, which is the regular one, and they also had several of the Barnes & Noble special edition ones, which are gold, and I decided to get this one so that it would match more with the second book when it comes out, which is going to be blue. But I really enjoyed this one. This edition has fun end papers. This is the story of the city-state of Castellane. Our main character is Kell, who is the sword catcher, meaning that he is the body double for the royal prince. He was raised alongside him, he is trained with him, he takes his place in different places when things might be dangerous for the prince. But there's a lot more to this book than that. Okay, this is also the story of Lynn. She is a member of a disadvantaged minority in this world, and she is very much oppressed. She wanted to become a physician, but women aren't allowed to be physicians in this world, so this is kind of her story too. There's some romance, but I would not say that this is a romantasy kind of at all. Actually, there's some signs that there might be some romance in the second book, but there's not very much in the first book. So don't go into it looking for a romantasy, because that's not what this is, but it is one that I actually really enjoyed, and I was really surprised because I have not been the biggest fan of the author necessarily. So if you didn't like those series, I think you might still like this. I would consider it a good bridge between super serious adult fantasy and young adult fantasy. And then the last one that I got, this is all from Half Price Books when I went there, is The World We Make by N.K. Jemisin. So this is N.K. Jemison's urban fantasy series, I would say. It's set in New York City, and I don't know a lot more about it than that. I actually have, right behind me right here, I have the first book in the series, so I haven't actually read the first book yet, but I went ahead because I saw this one, and I just love these covers so much. I just love how colorful they are. I just think it's a really pretty cover, and so I'm sure I'm gonna read both of them, and so I went ahead and picked it up, but I don't know that much about it because I haven't read the first book yet, so. All right, now I have a few books that I picked up, as I said, at the library store of my local library when I happened upon them being open on a Saturday. The first one I'm really excited about, and it is The Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. This is the Book of the Month edition, which I usually try not to buy because I feel like they seem a little cheap compared to the regular editions, but this one was $2, so that's just fine. So this is a supernatural Western. It is by the author of The Hacienda, which is a Rebecca retelling set in Mexico during the Mexican War for Independence. I had to think about it. And I gave that book 5 stars. I read it last month. I really loved it. I thought the prose was really beautiful. And although I was not previously interested in reading this one, after I loved The Hacienda so much, I had to pick this one up. So I am excited to read it. I do have this one to get to. I don't know if I'll read it this year or if I'll save it for fall next year. I feel like I might do that. So I got that. And then I'm actually collecting all of this author's books. This is Made in America, An Informal History of the English Language in the United States by Bill Bryson. And on the front it says, the kind of book Steinbeck might have written if he'd traveled with the David Letterman instead of Charlie the Poodle, which is quite the description. It says on the back, Bill Bryson now celebrates the magnificent offspring of the mother tongue, revealing once and for all how a dusty western hamlet with neither woods nor holly came to be known as Hollywood, and exactly why Mr. Yankee Doodle called his befeathered cap macaroni. So I really love Bill Bryson. If you haven't read a Bill Bryson book, my highest recommendation of his books is going to be A Walk in the Woods, which is his journey of walking the Appalachian Trail. He writes a lot of, I would say, American focused and also some British focused nonfiction, kind of general. He has a history of the world. He has a history of the body. It's very much like kind of pop science nonfiction, but also I think there's a lot of really great stuff in here and I really love him. So I haven't read this one, so I'm excited to get to it. So this next book looks like it's a UK edition because it only has the price in British pounds on the back. I haven't seen this cover. This is a book that I gave 5 stars to when I read it. It's called The Diviners by Libba Bray. And this one is just a hardcover with no dust jacket. It's just got these end papers in here that look like that. It might be a library binding. I'm not entirely sure, but The Diviners is a story that is set in the 1920s. So our main character, her uncle, I believe, runs a museum, and she also can see spirits, if I recall correctly. I haven't read this in a little bit. There are actually, I think, 3 books in this. I think it's a completed trilogy. I've read the first 2, and I didn't previously own them, so I was excited to pick this up and put it on the shelf. I really like this cover. It's kind of more fun than, I think, the original cover. I'm never going to find the other 2 to match it, but that's okay. And then we also picked up a copy of Stamped: Racism, Anti-Racism, and You, which you can see right here. I think that this is actually one that Sean picked up and he wanted to read because it's one that I know they were reading at the school that he teaches at last year. I don't know if I'm gonna read this one or not, or if he's just gonna read it and tell me if I should, but this is another one we picked up. All right, and then we have a couple books that came. These are kind of a mixture. Some of them came from my favorite used bookstore. Some of them came from the Friends of the Library store in Cincinnati. And 1 or 2 of them came from Half Price Books, maybe? Yeah, I don't know. Wherever it is that I have been and collected books from. The first one is The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. It says, Cora is a young slave on a cotton plantation in Georgia, an outcast even among her fellow Africans. She's on the cusp of womanhood where greater pain awaits. So this is about the Underground Railroad, in which it is not a metaphor. It is an actual, like, literal underground railroad with trains and tracks and things like this. I have not read a Colson Whitehead book, but I really have wanted to. I picked up this one, but then after I did, I thought that maybe I should have picked up, this one says it won the National Book Award, but maybe I should have picked up The Nickel Boys, which is based on a reform school for young boys in the South in the earlier part of the 20th century, which is something that I'm really interested in. And I actually just finished The Reformatory by Tananarive Due, which is about the same thing. So if you've read either one, let me know which one you think would be a good introduction to his writing. But I do know this one is an award winner, and that's why I picked it up. They had a little selection of his books at the Friends of the Library store, so. And this one's actually not a library copy, it's just a book somebody donated. And then I think I got this at the used bookstore. This is a book I want to read next Halloween. It is by Ray Bradbury, Something Wicked This Way Comes. Look at this cover. Love this cover. Love the creepy carousel horse there. So this is about, I think, creepy things that happen at a traveling carnival. And I love Ray Bradbury. I have read Fahrenheit 411 and I've read, or 451, oh, I cannot numbers. I'm not good at numbers. And I've also read most of his short story collections. So I'm a big fan of Ray Bradbury, but I have not read this one. And I feel like it's one of his more popular, famous ones. And I think I'd like to read it during Halloween. So I think I'm gonna save this for next fall, and I am looking forward to getting to it then. And then I picked up, I'm collecting the William Morrow published Agatha Christie books, and this one is Evil Under the Sun. It is a Hercule Poirot mystery. I don't know which one, does it matter? I love Agatha Christie. I probably read all of these books growing up. I would check them out from the library over and over and over again. So now I'm just trying to get, I like these editions specifically, and I am trying to collect all of them. So when I see them out at a used bookstore, I pick them up. And then I picked up a prequel to a book that I have already read, and that is Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. I'm having trouble not getting glare because I've got so many windows in here. So this is the prequel to Legends and Lattes, of course, everybody knows that. I haven't read it. Legends and Lattes was like a 3.5-star book for me, but I'm really feeling right now like I want to delve a little bit more into that cozy fantasy, cozy mystery, cozy everything. It feels like cozy season. So I feel like now I'm ready to read it. Do I love this cover? I don't know, kind of. I don't know what's going on. We've got like a bird pug thing here. We've got some kind of a writing rat here. I don't know. I don't know what these creatures are, but it looks like it's going to be cute, and it is set in a bookstore. And I just feel like that's going to be something that I'm going to really enjoy reading in the next couple months. And then this is another one that I picked up at the library sale that I was at. So it was literally a quarter. That's what gets me on a lot of these, is like when they have a sale, it's like a quarter for a hardback and 50 cents. No, 50 cents for a hardback, quarter for a paperback. And that's how you end up with so many books. But I can always donate them back later if I don't read them. Anyway, so this is a Margaret Atwood book. It's called Alias Grace. And I have I have seen the Netflix show that was based on this, at least part of it. And I remember really enjoying it. It's set in 1843, and Grace Marks has been convicted for her involvement in the vicious murder of her employers. Some believe she is innocent, others think her evil or insane. Now serving a life sentence, she claims to have no memory of the murders. An up-and-coming expert in the burgeoning field of mental illness is engaged by a group of reformers and spiritualists who seek pardon for her. So this is her telling her story about what happened with these murders, as you can see as she sits in prison here. I really, really love Margaret Atwood. The Handmaid's Tale is one of my favorite books of all time. I think that she does such a great job writing about something in a way that really makes you think about our society and our world and everything that goes along with that. I will say I just looked inside this, and it has the teeny tiniest text I've ever seen. And it is the Netflix show cover, which I don't really love. But again, it was a quarter. It was a quarter, so if I like it, and if this is a 5-star book for me, I can always pick up a nicer cover somewhere else later. All right, let me grab a couple more books. I'm actually gonna give you the 2 brand new books that I bought in the last 2 months, probably. The first one I've already showed in a wrap-up video because I've already finished reading this book, and that is Blood Over Bright Haven by M.L. Wang. Let me show you that beautiful cover. You can see the back. So this is a gorgeous, gorgeous book. I love it so much. It's got this awesome map on the inside of the city. And let me tell you what Blood Over Bright Haven is about. It is a standalone fantasy. It has a female main character. She is someone who is, first of all, probably not a super sympathetic main character, but it's for reasons. She is a woman who has succeeded in a world where women are not allowed to be high in the magic system. It's also the story of colonialism and the othering of people for traits that are outside of their, control. It's the story of, what we do to our environment. It's the story of how we use things up and don't seem to care about them. I would say that it is a very, very moment of the now kind of book, and I would really recommend checking it out. It's a standalone, and I just really loved it. It's probably going to be appearing on my top books of the year video when I do that next month. So I would highly recommend this one. It was just republished. I think it came out originally last year, self-published, and now it's been published by Del Rey, and this edition is very pretty, so I was happy to pick it up. I did give it 5 stars. And then I have one other new book, and that is one that I actually forgot that I had pre-ordered, which doesn't happen to me that often, but it does happen. Sometimes I will pre-order a book, like I will pre-order sequels to books that I love, or I have a couple of authors that are just auto pre-order, like T. Kingfisher is one. I'm always gonna pre-order T. Kingfisher's books because she's one of my favorites. And this one I pre-ordered because it was a special edition that was coming out and the pre-order price was really good. And this is a 5-star book for me, and that is A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. And so I'm gonna show you the edges first because it's got these book sprayed edges, which is very fun, right? And then the cover has got foiling on it. It is the original cover, but with all this gold foil on it. And then on the back it has a quote, "But if fairies and monsters were real, so were the women who defeated them." And then if we take the cover off, and I actually like really love this, you can see that it's actually a really beautiful hardback too. And this is something that I think we need to just like normalize. Like I love a beautiful hardcover that does not require a dust jacket. So we need more and more of those. I also love the end papers. They're very pretty. It's very much like an old book feeling. And this is a 5-star read for me. It is the story of a girl who succeeds or is trying to succeed in a world that does not want her to succeed. She is a student at an architecture college and she wins a competition to design a new home for the heir of one of her favorite writers. She really wanted to be a writer, but women are not allowed to go to the writing college in this world. So she goes to this estate to design this new home, and she finds that everything there is not exactly the way that it should be. It's very creepy, it's very dark, it's very gothic. It really was moving to me in a way that I did not necessarily expect. It's a young adult book, but I feel like it could be read by all ages. I just really, really love this one. And if you're looking for a special copy of it, this one is newly out and I think it's pretty fantastic. All right, I have one more stack. Okay, so the first one I bought at the Friends of the Library store. It's not in great condition. And I will be honest with you that I mostly just bought it because I need to read this book. And if it's on my TBR cart and I own a physical copy, I think I'm more likely to pick it, and that is Cricket Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. This is the sequel to Six of Crows. I'm sure that you all know this book has like, I mean, it was $1, but it has like, you know, water damage and it's not in great shape. It's also got stickers on it, which I will use my hairdryer and scrape off probably, but this is the sequel to Six of Crows. I gave, I think 3.5 stars to Six of Crows. I am really interested in finishing the duology, so I thought if I owned it, I'd be more likely to get to it. So there you go on that one. And then I picked up 2 books that go together. These are 2 books that are in a series. The first one I got from the Friends of the Library store, and it is The Queer Principles of Kit Webb. So this is a queer love story that is set, I believe, in kind of like Regency times. I don't know that much about it. I also bought, actually the reason I bought this one is because I had already purchased The Perfect Crimes of Marion Hayes, which is the sequel to this book. They're in the same series. I mean, as much as any romance novel I think is in a series. I really love Cat Sebastian, the author of these books. She's one of my favorites. She is absolutely great at writing historical queer romances in a way that does not make them seem anachronistic. So I'm kind of hoping for a little bit of that from these 2 also, with whatever's going on with these 2. I know there's a 3rd book also now, and I'm excited to read those because I think some light, fluffy romance is going to be in my immediate future. And then I picked up a couple of nonfiction. The first one is Men We Reaped by Jessamine Ward. This is her memoir. So she's a fiction writer, but this book is actually her memoir. And it is about, it says, in the space of 4 years, she lost 5 young men, including her beloved brother, to accidents, murder, and suicide. Their deaths were seemingly unconnected, yet their lives had been connected by identity and place. And as she dealt with the losses, she came to a staggering truth. These young men died because of who they were and the place they were from, because disadvantage breeds a certain kind of bad luck. And that's a topic that for me, I really want to delve into. I feel like the idea that, I know we all want to think, if you're an American like I am, we all want to think that we all have the same opportunity, that we're a blank slate and everybody can succeed. But the truth is, I think that where you come from and who you are makes a difference in how easy or hard things are for you. So this is definitely a book that is about that idea, and I'm really excited to read it. This was clearly one that somebody read for school, because it has been highlighted. But sometimes I kind of enjoy that. Does anybody else, when they read on Kindle, do you leave the highlights on so that you can see the parts that other people thought were kind of profound and wanted to save? Because I always do that. So I do not mind a little bit of highlighting. And then the other one that I got, this one's not highlighted, is Killers of the Flower Moon by David Grann. David Grann also wrote The Wager, which is one of my top 10 books from last year. He's very good at this kind of narrative nonfiction. I know that there is a movie of this. I have not seen it. I really wanted to read the book first, so I picked this up, and I am really, really excited to get to this. I'm trying to do a little bit more nonfiction. I've been really bad at nonfiction lately, so I am excited to get to this one. And then I've got, it looks like 3 more. So I picked up, as I said, I like to own all my 5-star books, and I have been looking for a copy of this one used because I didn't really want to pay full price for it. So I picked up a copy of Northwoods by Daniel Mason. And I love this cover. I thought it was really ugly at first because this cat is ridiculous, but he's really grown on me. And yeah, Northwoods is a story about a house and a piece of land and the people that lived on it. And it's told in a series of interconnected stories. It also has things like look, here's a poem here in the middle, there's pictures, there's just like all kinds of stuff. This is, I can't really describe it. It's so hard for me to describe exactly what it is, but I love it, and it's definitely going to be in my top books of the year, and I was really excited to pick up my own copy of it. And then we have 2 more. This first one is a cozy mystery, and it is The Antique Hunter's Guide to Murder by C.L. Miller. So this is the story of an antique dealer whose mentor has died under mysterious circumstances. She's going to go to an old manor house for an antique enthusiast weekend, but all is not as it seems. It's clear to Freya that the antiques are poor reproductions and her fellow guests are secretive. So my parents owned an antique store when I was growing up, so I grew up like very much around antiques and antique refinishing, and I love old things in general. And so the idea of a cozy little mystery that is set in that world of people that are just crazy about antiques really appealed to me, and I was planning to read this. So when it was at the Friends of the Library store for $2, I picked it up, and I'm excited to get to read it soon. And I have one more book, and I don't know, I literally don't know if I'm going to like this book at all. So if you've read it, I need you to tell me if I should read it this year. So I really want to read some Christmassy books, but I'm also really allergic to things that are just poorly written or so cheesy that I can't get over it. I like a Christmas movie, and I like a Christmas movie that is sentimental and makes me cry. I cry every year watching Home Alone, okay? I want to do that, but I cannot get behind Hallmark movies. So I picked up this book. And I think it's probably going to be a little bit Hallmarky, but it sounds kind of good. And it is Meet Me in London by Georgia Toffolo. This is not one that I've heard of. It's about an aspiring fashion designer who dreams of opening her own boutique, but her vile ex cheated her out of her business venture. So basically, I'm not even gonna try. I was gonna try to explain it, but I can't. So basically it's fake dating. And if they fake date, he's going to help her to showcase her fashion designs. And that's the plot line of that. And I do enjoy a fake dating trope. That is one of the ones that I do like. And I think this looks cute. And I think it's a British author. Is that right? Let's just say yes. But anyway, so this is the last one. So if you've read this one, I would really love it if you would tell me if you think that I would like it, or tell me if you don't think I would like it. I mean, that's okay too. I just need it to be cute and sweet, but not like so ridiculous that I can't take it. And with that, that's all the books that I have picked up over the last couple of months. And it's a lot of books, I'm not gonna lie. I think that the library sales, or like all the great used bookstores around me, are really gonna be the death of me, because not in my bank account, because, you know, it's not expensive, but I am lacking in bookshelves right now. So that's gonna be one of the things coming up on the channel, is gonna be creating a library room. And with that, that's all I've got today. I hope you enjoyed the book haul. If you're new here, please leave a comment. Let me know how you found me. And I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.